And there we are. Okay. All right. It looks like we're live on the YouTubes. And it's weird because I'm in a conference room, so I'm like talking quiet. I'm like,
We're all muted because we're in the same place.
but I'll give it a minute or two and see if anybody joins before I do a big intro. So let's go. Let's see. See if anybody's here. Like our favorite Australian people in Tasmania. Hey, there we are. All right. Looks like we actually have got somebody in. So I can do the official intro. Okay. So I will stop whispering in this big giant conference room. Um, for those joining, in case you haven't noticed, there's three of us here and we all have the same background. So we're all in the same place. So this will be interesting. See if we can navigate Zoom. But we are live from Space Weather Workshop in Boulder, Colorado, attending this week-long Space Weather Fest. Lots of information to digest, things that are way over my head, but it's okay. Learning some things. There's some new data sources that could potentially be useful for us coming up and coming. So that's exciting. Um, and so we kind of wanted to do something impromptu from here since we all are into space weather. And we also have an event going on, so we wanted to kind of go over that as well for those who are watching the space weather data right now. And we have this nice long period of negative BZ, which seems to be stuck in a convective pattern right now. So that's why it hasn't been doing too much. But eventually it should break eventually, but time will tell. So, but what is the source of this? That is the million-dollar question right now, and we think we might have found something for it. So I will mute myself and give this over to Christian because I think he has it up on J Helio viewer. So I will pass it over to him.
That sounds good. And yeah, we actually have to figure out who's speaking and in what order since we're all literally sitting on the same table in a circle. So we don't have echoes and it don't get really annoying and all of that. In fact, I think it only shows like one at a time. So since I'm talking, you say hi to everybody. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, just like every Aurora event in our future, because that's social media hype, I guess, here. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I wanted to pull up Glasgow as well, so I haven't actually gotten to this far yet, so let me share screen. But yes, we're pretty positive we have at least a source going through at least March 14th, because this is a very slow event. In fact, we're thinking there may not have been a shock whatsoever. This kind of turned into something similar to a transient feature that is just kind of embedded within the solar wind. However, what we're going through right now looks very flux rope-ish, and I'm looking southwest north, honestly, slowly, surprisingly. So if you check out the J Helio viewer, this is once again AIA 211, so the 21.1 nanometer wavelength coming from SDO. This is in the running differential mode so that we don't have a bunch of frames from before stacking on top of it. There was a small eruption, and I am speaking small. 1400, yep, that little puff right there. Looks like just what we need in order to have a slow propagation towards us. It was like 420 kilometers per second wind speed, I want to say. Let's see if I can get in this short amount of time before we go into anything else. A Glasgow imagery up and maybe something in C2 that would see that wisp. Let's see. Might be able to, do you want to do maybe the part of the IMF data while I search for this, just in case?
I will, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it back over to Mary Beth in that case.
Me? Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, right?
But I think,
Oh, Tanya, you're doing it then?
yeah, I'll pass it over to Tanya.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
All right. So this is current IMF data, and what we can see here, or maybe not really well. Let me just load up a little bit. There we go. Yeah. So this is ACE because Discover is showing something else altogether, which may not be entirely accurate, at least for plasma reading, but IMF looks fairly similar. So what we're seeing here is very gradual increase in magnetic strength. So magnetic field is getting stronger without really a clear-cut transition when it happened. And we are seeing kind of slide into negative BZ, which is probably why we're not seeing anything exciting from the magnetosphere quite yet. And unfortunately, BZ is starting to go up again. So this may be an unfortunate situation, and it's a still maybe so it's evolving conditions because this is what we see with auroral electrojet. So there is enhanced convection, but it's not breaking into a substorm. So at current level, we're not really looking into anything particularly exciting. We can see probably somewhere in northern regions of upper Midwest, and definitely in Canada, a diffuse featureless arc that's very green and not doing anything in particular. It just sits there. Whether or not it's not super pleasant, whether or not it's going to break into something more exciting, will depend on what BZ is going to do, whether or not it's going to finally load up the magnetotail. It might, but it may take a few hours before that happens. So it's annoying. It's steady magnetospheric convection, and hopefully we'll see something interesting, but there are no guarantees. So if you are in the northern upper Midwest, or even northern, I would say um, east,
Like
eastern
Maine.
states like Maine, you might see something. I haven't checked the sky cams to see whether or not anything is building up. Clear sky will be an issue for many regions of the upper Midwest. That's where we at right now. So it's watch and monitor. There's not much else we can do. I sometimes I feel like going up there and shaking the magnetotail a little bit so it actually does something interesting, but I can't. Sorry, it's not accessible today.
Um,
Okay. All right. So I will come back in here. I don't know if I'll turn this up here real quick here. So yeah, that's our quick little update. We figured we'd do one. I think somebody asked me to share my poster. So we'll talk about kind of what we're doing at this event here. So let me get that up because I'm doing a little talk on actually on this podcast that we've been doing that, and thanks to you guys have been favorably liking so far. So that's really cool. Um, because it's the ongoing project about communications and space weather communication in general. And so it's been a fun project. And if it's the one thing we have learned at this conference so far, it's that communication with space weather phenomena and events is something that is being taken more seriously, which will be which is helpful because there is a lot of, as you guys know, a lot of just maybe not intentional hype on things, but you get all those news articles like, hey, northern lights are gonna be visible here and here and whatever, and then it's not, and then people get frustrated over it. So they seem to be taking that to heart, which is good to see. I want to bring up the PDF of this, not the PSD. So let me bring the PDF. Okay. But I should have it here in a second here. Do, do, do. And all right. So I will share my screen. I'll show you the poster that I made for this event. And hopefully you guys can see this when I bring it up here. Okay. So yeah, this is the poster. It kind of goes over the whole objective of this podcast and what we use, like, some of the analytics between like the different streams, some of the feedback from all of you guys that watch, and then, what we plan on doing in the future. I added a bunch of pictures on this, and just the importance of space weather communication in general, and how like, because I mean, you can look at the size of these groups here and how big the Aurora chasing community actually is, and how important it is to get this type of information out there in a, more digestible way. That's, people can actually take something away and not be lost in the terminology, or like looking at forecasts that's designed for operations and think it's for Aurora when it's not, and that kind of stuff. So this will be presented on Thursday here along with Tanya's poster as well. So that'll be kind of exciting because we're at the source. We're in Boulder, Colorado with all these wonderful scientists and operations people, and so it's pretty exciting. I'm pretty thrilled to be here. To say the least. I'll actually, once I get this presented, I'll put the PDF online too, if it's because I know this is probably kind of hard to read on the screen. So I'll give it to you guys to read, but that's kind of that. So do you have anything to add, or do we have any questions? Okay, Christian has something else to add, so I'm going to pass it back over to him.
Although she's probably not going to like that I have something more to add, because I want to mention that this poster was made completely by her, and she has pretty much undertaken this project solo for the most part, and you guys have seen the poster. It looks wonderful. So we are very much looking forward to this presentation come Thursday, and she deserves quite a bit of praise for this. So send your praises her way. The CME on that note doesn't really have a source in Glasgow. That was the less important information. So probably still CME, but poster. That's all I had.
Oh. All right. That's all he had. That's all I had. So I guess we're I don't know if there's no questions out, like burning questions out there. I guess we can, yeah, so we can call it, but we wanted to kind of get one of these out because it's been a little bit. We didn't do one I've been up in Alaska for 2 weeks, so it's been kind of hard to coordinate that. And I was on a photo workshop with Mark Adamus, which took all my energy that you could possibly imagine. So yeah, we apologize for skipping the week. So we wanted to get one in, and it just so happened that we had something to talk about today. Even if it's, being kind of annoying in its SMC pattern, even though the BZ is like nice and negative. But yeah, just keep a lookout, because if it breaks, it should be something kind of good. But it might take hours, like Tanya said, hours. Because we are starting from a pretty much cold magnetosphere, so it's it has to build up, and finally break. So for those of you out there with clear skies and have the patience to do so, I wish you the best of luck on your search tonight. We thought about chasing it out here in Colorado, but we're socked in with clouds till all the way from about 3 hours south of here. So we won't be going anywhere. We'll just be getting some sleep and resuming this conference tomorrow. So on that note, I will say bye-bye for the time being. We will come up. Uh-oh. Okay, so if you look at the Isle Royal webcam, we do have something that's showing up. So there is hope. There is hope. So for those of you with clear skies in the northern tiered regions, definitely be on the lookout. On that note, I will finally end it. And then we'll be back to our regular scheduled program, probably this weekend or early next week, with something else to talk about. We're always open for suggestions, like usual. If you have something you want to go over, just drop it in the chat or on our Facebook page or whatever, and we'll try to work it in. So I will let you guys have a great night, and we will see you next week. And we'll try to update with anything interesting from this conference too. So like always, thank you for joining.
Yeah, everybody.